Hello everyone, another week and another awesome InsideLocal webinar. Welcome back to those of you who have joined us before, and a big welcome to those of you who are listening in for the first time. Thank you for giving up an hour of your busy day to join us today. Now, over the course of the next 60 minutes, we're going to be debating strategies, tactics, opportunities, and also some pitfalls about online reputation management. And to help us kind of through this this kind of detailed and sort of thorny topic, we have four fantastically experienced panelists who I hope will share both the highs and the lows of their experiences of working with reputation management. So let's get started and let's meet our four panelists. Firstly, we have Thomas Ballantyne. Now, Thomas is the marketing director of Bulwark Pest Control. They're a kind of pest control business located in the US. I think they cover 17 metro areas. Now, Thomas is a huge exponent of kind of review marketing and review strategies as a way of increasing revenue, increasing customers, and generating loyalty. So he's implemented some wonderfully successful review strategies in his own business that he's going to be hopefully sharing with us today. Next we have Phil Rozek. Phil is a very well-known kind of blogger, consultant, conference speaker within the kind of local search scene in the US and also internationally. He runs Local Visibility System, which is a must-follow blog for many of us in the industry. And as Phil said, he's been on InsideLocal a number of times, so we are delighted to have him back with us today. Next we have Aaron Weich. I hope I said that correct, Aaron. Apologies if I didn't. Aaron is the COO of an extremely successful digital marketing agency called Spider Trap based in Minneapolis. Aaron has a lot of experience in search, social, mobile marketing. He's one of the trainers at Local U who provide excellent training services on local search to SMBs. This is Aaron's first time on InsideLocal, but he's also appearing again next month, so great to have a double header from Aaron, so thank you for joining us today. And we also have Don Campbell. Now, Don runs his own web design, search marketing, and training business called Expand to Web. He's also the founder of a very innovative service called Get 5 Stars, which is a kind of review generation, review management sort of application and tool. So hopefully Don will bring lots of knowledge from kind of setting that up and kind of working with clients on that side. So across our four excellent panelists, a vast spread of experience that we hope to benefit from very widely today. So guys, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. I really do appreciate it. Now, working behind the scenes, we have the usual characters. We have Linda Bouquet from the Local Search Forum, who are the co-promoters and co-organizers of InsideLocal, so welcome back, Linda. We have Colin Nielsen, who's actually not with us yet, but will be with us in about half an hour. And Colin and Linda's job is to manage the text Q&A. So if you can locate the text module in your GoToWebinar control panel, if you want to ask a question, you'll get answers probably from Linda and Colin. And there's myself. I'm Miles Anderson. I'm your host today. I'm also the founder of BrightLocal. Big thanks to many of our customers for putting your faith in us, but also joining us today. So that's the team who will be guiding you through the next hour. This is the agenda that we have for today. I'm going to leave it on the screen for about 20 seconds so you can run your eye down it and see what we're going to be covering. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping stuff. We've talked about the question module. That's where you can ask any questions and you'll get answers. Also look out for the chat box in your GoToWebinar control panel. That's where we'll be posting links and resources to any of the kind of services or posts that the guys mention during the debate. The webinar is being recorded. The slide deck is on slideshare.net. We will send an email around on Friday with links to both of those. So please, everyone, just sit back, relax, enjoy the debate. Don't feel that you need to kind of scribble everything down that you hear, because you will have the chance to recap via the recording. If you want to tweet anything, please do. Use the hashtag hashtag InsideLocal. That'll be great. And we have 3 polls running today. They'll be dotted in and out at various points of the agenda. So if you do see a poll running, please do answer it. I do want to get as much good, useful data back from you. Planning to use this on a kind of search engine land post I've got coming up. So please do take part if you see the polls on your screen. We'll also be presenting the results immediately back to you. So once the poll is finished, you'll be able to see the results, so you get some immediate feedback from there. So hope that's all clear, and we can get started. So the first kind of part of the agenda I want to talk about is a bit more general, kind of why reputation management, and why and how should SMBs kind of get involved. So Phil, I'm going to come to you with the first question. If everyone out there, Phil Rozek is with us. He just doesn't unfortunately have a webcam, but he's lurking there in the shadows. with his stealthy answers. So Phil, also you work with with a lot of businesses advising their strategies. How would you sum up and summarize the main benefits of having and investing in online reputation?
That's a great question. I would say it's a big can of worms, but at least for me, it kind of boils down to 4 main reasons. Reason number 1 is if you do it right and you sort of diversify where online you have reviews, testimonials, or people just saying good things about you, it's one of the few things that Google can't take away from you. Even if your site gets blown to the ground by an algorithm update, if Google pulls your Google Places page, you still have an online reputation. So I'd say that's reason 1. If you have reviews, ideally on, again, a diversity of sites, it's good that you're going to get more clicks than your competitors do. And those clicks and, the kind of click-through rate and sort of the behavioral signals, those can help your rankings over the long haul. So, however well or however poorly you rank, if you have reviews, at least the chances are good that over time your rankings are going to float up a little bit, at least. I'd say the 3rd reason is it helps having reviews on a diversity of sites helps your rankings within those sites. Like a lot of times you'll find that, basically there are search results within search results, and you will type in a broad search term like auto repair, for instance, and you'll see a bunch of Yelp all over page 1. And you click on that, you click on the Yelp result, and it's a category page within Yelp. And the businesses that rank well within Yelp tend to have a lot of reviews. So I don't know if everyone here is familiar with sort of the tactic of barnacle SEO, to use the term that Will Scott from Search Influence coined. But reviews are a great kind of barnacle SEO tactic, sort of latch onto these sites that are very prominent within Google. Also, I would say probably the 4th and probably biggest reason to care about your online reputation is it helps whatever word of mouth kind of referral power you have. I mean, if people hear about your company offline, sooner or later they are going to look you up. And when they do, you want to sort of wow them with all the reviews you've got. So it's really it can serve as a confirmation of the good things people hear about you online and offline.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Aaron, kind of following on from Phil said at the first point about Google can't take away your reputation. Do you think that's true, or do you think Google can take away your reputation?
Yeah, definitely to a certain extent. It always amazes me the variety of way that I guess consumers or general users look at even how rankings work, right? And you hear people all the time that whatever the top ranking is something that Google's already determined to be the best business or the right one for you. It's not based on some of the algorithmic things that we understand and behaviors and things like that. So I definitely think it can hurt to a certain standpoint. Where Phil's exactly correct, though, is like, one, by paying attention to what your reputation is. I mean, that's really the big fundamental piece, right? Whether it ends up something that business or business owner has knowledge on, or you're able to get it elevated to a public review where it's one person sharing for dozens, hundreds, or thousands to come across that review and consume it and then form an opinion. To me, that's really the big idea behind it, is like, don't ignore how your customers single or as a group or as an overall collective feel about your business, but understand who's out there talking about you, how they feel about you, and everything else. And there's a few different layers. We'll obviously talk about that today, but I do think like it or not, Google is a behemoth in that space, and what they display about your business definitely can be helpful, and it can definitely be harmful as well. But you can still succeed without them being, the most major component to your business.
Thanks, Aaron. That's great. Thomas, like I said, you do a lot of kind of review work within your own business. How much advantage does having a good reputation give you over your competitors?
Oh, it's huge. Your credibility is currency when it comes to selling your product and yourself. what people say about you online matters. I mean, there's tons of polls out there. I think you guys had one a year ago that said like 88% of people look at online reviews before hiring a business. You need to be aware of what people are saying about you.
And do you do a lot of benchmarking of yourself against other pest control areas in the metros you work in? And do you use that as a way of determining the volume of reviews you need to have? And how much time do you sort of spend benchmarking yourself?
No, we kind of got out ahead of the pack, so we were never really concerned about how many reviews our competitors had. As long as we have more, we're happy. I think getting ahead of everybody else and doing it. I mean, if you're a plumber and nobody else in your town has reviews, it's a good idea to get on the game and get reviews before anybody else has them. They'll all eventually figure it out and catch up. I mean, most of the areas where I do business now, we've got competitors that have reviews. We probably double most of our competitor reviews.
Okay, that's great. Don, you obviously there are a lot of businesses out there that don't appear to have any online reputation or any online reviews. Is having no sort of visible or clearly visible sort of star rating and review count, is that as harmful as having a bad reputation?
I think it can be because for a couple of reasons. Like number one, a lot of businesses don't have any online reviews, and especially if you're in an industry where you don't tend to get a lot of reviews. If you're not like a coffee shop or a restaurant, I mean, certain businesses like maybe your optometrist, or your dentist, people don't always run out and leave reviews for certain industries unless they're really mad, right? So if you've got no reviews, you're very exposed, because if you do have some situation, and every business runs into this at some point, where somebody gets upset and they leave you a review on Yelp or Google or wherever, that's the only review for your business. And I think that's very harmful, because as Aaron and Phil and Thomas have alluded to in their comments, that reviews are great not only for ranking but for the conversion, right? So when someone looks you up because they were referred by a friend or they find you in a search result, then they're looking for that social proof that you're a safe and reliable business to go to, and the online reviews provide that, right? So there's really two elements to it. One is ranking better, and the other is actually getting that conversion where someone comes to your business or calls you. And so I've dealt with lots of businesses where they didn't have any reviews, and then they got a bad one, and now they've got a big hole to dig out of to get their reputation looking better online.
Great. Well, we're going to come talking about kind of managing out kind of bad reviews in a little bit. But it's interesting that yes, if you've got no reputation, there's no other voice out there saying positive things about you, then one negative voice about you is going to shout out kind of so much more than that. Aaron, you obviously you run a digital agency. You cover off lots of different facets of kind of digital marketing. Does reputation management stop at reviews and social, or is it a lot more than that?
Yeah, I definitely think it's most beneficial when the business or entity as a whole cares about what the perception is of their company. So if they're interested in feedback because they want it for improvement, they want to glean the comments of what their customers and consumers have to offer, then there's exponential benefits to how they can, cater that across their organization and really build up a much stronger business. A review specifically is just more of a tactical endpoint where you want to be able to amplify that one person's voice in a public space to as many people as possible. So while it's great to get to that point, a lot of people miss all of the great things that happen in between by, first of all, just letting your customers know we care to listen, right? So if you have some type of a feedback mechanism in place that you're actively listening to your customers, you're saying, hey, we care enough to listen, we want your input, good or bad, and we want to make, either keep things the same if we're doing great, or we want to make improvements if we're not doing it as well. So we want to listen to you, and that being a really big step. And then after that, can you do actionable things with what you're able to find out with it? And then, yeah, you definitely care about, those that end up being a town crier, so to say, with either positive or negative things when they end up in the review space or out in the social space with how people are speaking, because they're speaking to a much louder audience. and one that you can be aware of that they're saying as well, right? If one person tells one person while they're out mowing the lawn, their experience with a car dealership in town, that conversation stays between the two of them, but we all understand the amplification of once they share that opinion on the web.
That's great, Phil. Aaron made a good point there about it's reviews as being a tactic, being one kind of outlet. In your role as a consultant, Phil, working with your clients, how much of your role is just to focus on the tactical delivery or the tactical outlets for reputation, as opposed to working with the client on maximizing their reputation in other parts of their business? Do you do any work on that front?
I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what you would consider an example of the latter. I mean, it's sort of all tactics. Aside from the basic, the client needs a basic drive of understanding why reviews matter and wanting them and wanting to do a good job for their customers. And I think as long as they have those basic kind of drives and they're motivated in those ways, I think it all comes down to really the how. How do you get happy customers to speak up? How do you prevent a mildly negative or even a very negative online review from becoming a PR disaster? And I think Aaron nailed it when he said that too many business owners get hung up on having reviews as an endpoint, sort of getting hung up on them as a kind of the end-all be-all rather than sort of a conduit for feedback about hey, how are we doing? How can we improve? And I think one sort of piece of low-hanging fruit that not only a lot of business owners but a lot of SEOs overlook is they don't read their own reviews. They don't go through, read them in entirety, see if there are any new reviews regularly on this or that review site, and they don't mine the reviews for not only sort of complaints but also content ideas or sort of what made that reviewer want to write a review next. Like, for instance, I have a home inspector client who is a beast at getting reviews, and one thing I found after reading his reviews is that what the happy customers really talk about more often than anything else is how thorough he is in his home inspections. So we sort of decided to play that up on his website. So it becomes sort of this feedback where you do a good job for customers, you get reviews, you learn about the things that made the happy customers happy, you sort of play them up more, and you address whatever complaints that they bring up in their reviews, either sort of when you're on the phone with them or sort of even on the website before they even become a customer. So that's a long way of saying that I think business owners and SEOs alike need to be better about reading their reviews and not just saying, oh, well, cool, we got a 5-star review today, mission accomplished.
So you're saying they can glean a lot more from the reviews that they could feed back into other areas of their marketing, other areas of their business. So it's not just a kind of got a review, walk away, done it. You need to kind of harness what's in those reviews.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I think the businesses that do that look at reviews as a way to make their business better, are the ones that do really well online. Because it's just a virtuous cycle. They're reading these reviews, just as Phil said. They're mining information out of them. They're fixing things in their business or emphasizing certain things, and that just leads to more reviews and better reviews.
Yeah, I guess it's common sense that people will use it as a feedback loop, to improve their business. But I like the idea of feed that back into the marketing side and the content side, because local businesses are always looking for things to kind of write about, to make them stand out on the web. Particularly those maybe kind of slightly more dry businesses that aren't particularly kind of engaging. Not unlike a restaurant, which has probably got tons of things that can kind of talk about. It's interesting that you can try and glean that information from the review content you get. One more question, which is the question that I pretty much know the answer of, but I know it's a question that we always get asked, is how many reviews should a business have? I had to ask it. Thomas, what would be your answer to that?
Starting off, the 7 to 10 range is ideal, but you can't stop there. It's the proverbial, always pushing the boulder up the hill. kind of mentality. If you got 10 great reviews from 10 years ago, who cares? So I think it's an ongoing process. I don't know that there is a set number of, hey, I've achieved 100 reviews, I'm going to stop. Obviously, there's a diminishing return on marketing value for reviews. If you're at 100 versus 150, that there's probably a little bit of a, hey, your 150th isn't going to be as valuable as your 10th. But I don't. There's not a number. I don't ever plan on stopping having a review strategy and paying attention to my reviews and asking customers for reviews. There's no, hey, I'm done with asking for reviews. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to actually going to do our first poll very quickly, everyone. So the first question for the poll is: how much of your time do you spend on reviews and reputation-related tasks? So I'm just going to put this on the screen now. Going to close the poll and share the results. So how much time people spend on reviews and reputation-related tasks? 44% spend under 10%, so it's not a lot. If you put those the two sort of top results together, you've got nearly 70% spending less than 20%, while only only 15% spend more than 30%. So somewhere around the kind of 10 to 25% appears to be how much most people are spending on reviews and reputation. So thanks everyone for taking part in that. We've got a couple more polls coming up, so again, please do take part. Next question is how to help SMBs maximize their reputation. So Aaron, I can come to you first. What do you think are the most important ingredients to sort of successful review strategy for SMBs?
Yeah, so it really comes down to the keywords you said, having a strategy, right? Caring about how you're going to, the easiest way to put it all the time, is it already baked into your natural process? Do you already have a point with your customer where you're letting them know that their feedback is important to you, that you're going to be asking for that feedback, that you then do something with that feedback, and then having a method, whether it's a postcard asking for it or giving them review sites, whether you're using a tool like Get 5 Stars, or you're doing in some other manner a personal email to what's there. But it's really kind of mapping out that yes, we care about it, we're going to do something with the information, and then here's the specific methods we're going to use to encourage and provide easy ways for that consumer to be able to leave us feedback about our business, and hopefully escalate it all the way down the line to getting them to leave an online review for us. So kind of having that and looking like how does that fit into our business process. The people that we work with that are most successful with it, it is truly baked right into their process. Isn't it something that at the very end they're like, oh, here's an add-on and we're going to do this. They are making the customer aware they care about it. They're going to be asking them at different times to understand that their opinion matters, and then they have these different methods that they're putting in front of them as reminders saying, here's what I'm going to do to be able to make it easy for you with quick links or shortcuts, or just fill in a box, or give us a 0 to 10 rating, or do whatever else to share how you feel about us. So just forming that strategy and then getting buy-in across the board for how it's going to work, right? If you are some type of a franchise and everybody's handed down that reviews and reputation are important, but all of your frontline employees don't know anything about it, and then they're not putting it into place or having that interaction or representing your business well, that's not going to bode well for a complete organizational buy-in to help make those things work.
Don, what do you, how important is kind of communication and training in getting a business to really be successful in their review strategy?
Yeah, it's essential. I mean, the businesses that I've seen do the best with this, they've built a process, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but they've really trained the staff. Like most of these businesses are service-oriented businesses, that I've worked with, and the thing that works the best is when the office manager or the person at the front desk or the staff, they understand this whole mission for getting for asking for feedback and getting reviews. And it can be really simple. I worked with a chiropractor a number of years ago, and the office manager just kept a clipboard, and whenever somebody was in the office after a visit, she asked them, she said, hey, we're just we're looking at our online reviews and they're super important. Would you mind if we sent you an email at the end of the week and asked you for one? Can we have your email address? And She captures like first and last name and email address on a clipboard, writes them down. At the end of the week, she sends out an email from the doctor thanking them for their visit and asking them to leave a review. And that, just having a simple process like that really, really made a huge difference for them. Now with larger offices, you have, more involved there, but I definitely see that when the office, not just the business owner, but all the people who are interacting with the customers, they understand the goal and what you're trying to do, get feedback from the customers, understand how we're doing. That makes a big difference, because it makes the business better, because you're hearing this feedback, you're asking them instead of letting the customer walk out the door and then maybe never come back or have a problem and you just never even knew about it. So I think there are ways to automate this with systems. There's also ways to just put some simple little workflows in place in the office to make this happen.
That's a great kind of one location example. Thomas, you have, you said 17 locations. How do you make something like that work across that many locations with that additional volume of staff members?
We have a philosophy around here that if it's measured, it will be improved. So just start off by knowing what's there and measuring it is a good way to get your employees and your managers to buy in. If you start sending them an email every single week that says, hey, you've got 5 reviews, they'll get the hint after a little while. With our actual technicians, we've baked it in with them so they know that it's important. The guys that we promote, we say your online reputation matters. Your reviews that you get online matter. We'll promote you based on whether you have good or bad reviews online. And we monitor both. We fire people off of based off of bad reviews as well. We've done that. So it's, making them aware is definitely one of the biggest steps you can take.
So you really incentivize them a bit of carrot and stick there, actually down to the technician. So you really study their reviews that much that it impacts their career progression. Yeah,
it definitely does.
Yeah, I guess
the guys that get reviews are the guys that we want to keep around. They do the right things to get reviews. You can't fake the number of reviews that these guys get. And so they know that it's vital to their success within our company. It's vital to the success of the company overall at this point.
So do you find then that some people just don't get it, they don't embrace it, they don't enjoy it, and those are the guys that that don't hang around?
There are definitely those that don't get it, and we use examples of those that do get it to encourage them. So we have branches. A couple of years ago, I put a stat out there based on this, but we have branches that really get reviews, and we compared the branch that got reviews, or the branches that got reviews, next to their referral rates, and next to their customer retention rates, and next to their customer satisfaction rates. And we put it out there and said, hey, look, our top 3 branches here are all in order for the most reviews, most referrals, most reviews, highest customer satisfaction, most reviews, highest customer retention. And all those other numbers matter as well. And those are numbers we've cared about for years. So we've just taken that and said, if you do this, you focus a little bit more on this aspect, you're going to improve your numbers across the board for all the areas that we are going to compensate you in.
Okay, great. Phil, question for you. How important is timing and kind of recency when you're going to get a review from someone? How important is it to strike while the iron's hot?
It's crucial. It's sort of a make or break. I mean, probably 50% of your success or failure in a review strategy depends on timing. And I think it was actually Thomas who once said, Thomas, you can correct me if I'm totally butchering this, but I think what you said essentially was, as soon as you see a smile on the customer's face, then you ask them for a review. You give them instructions if they need them, or and at the very least you sort of give them a nudge and say, hey, we'd love for you to give us some honest feedback online. And if you can mention a specific technician or a specific dental hygienist or a specific paralegal or whatever the case, so much the better. But then, so the initial timing of the request is hugely important because the emotions are sort of riding high in the customer, and your chances of getting a review are better. Now, for a lot of business owners kind of fall on their faces is they don't do any follow-up. I think one reason is, first and foremost, they forget. Customers forget to write them a review, and then the business owner forgets to follow up. But also, even the business owners to whom it occurs to ask, to send a friendly reminder and sort of say, hey, did you get a chance to review us online? If not, here are some instructions. We would really appreciate a good word. Even those people, a lot of times I found, are concerned about being a pest, and they don't want to come across as pushy. And I found that that's just not. It's a valid concern, but it's not an issue for most customers. As long as you ask in sort of a no-pressure way, and you're just asking for honest feedback on a website of the customers using it, it's not. You're just sending a friendly reminder. What I found is that clients who have a way to send a friendly reminder, either by email or snail mail, or using a tool like Get 5 Stars, which Don built, and I highly recommend. Those are the people who really scoop up a lot of reviews over time.
Don, coming nicely to plug your Get 5 Stars product again. What channels do you use in Get 5 Stars to communicate to customers, and which works best? I mean, do you have an SMS product? Do you have an email product? Do you have a physical card? And do you have any kind of response rates from that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I'm agreeing with Phil that recency is really important, because what we have this ability for a business owner to, when they get started, to import all their email addresses and start kind of over time starting to ask for feedback from those people. What we see is that the most recent interactions get the highest amount of feedback. It's like more than double or triple the response rate. So definitely the more, the more, and this is with email I'm talking about, but so definitely right after the visit or right after the interaction is the very best time to do it. And even though, like you said, the problem is that some business owners are a little uncomfortable about asking for that. So, but it's like Bill said, it's a valid concern, but customers don't mind, right? Especially if it's done in the right way. And so what we find is we use email primarily, and we have a number of different ways to do that. We also use like printed postcards. We have the ability for them to use a card, because sometimes the office manager will know, hey, this person just doesn't respond to email or whatever, and so they hand a printed postcard to them, which just has a URL on it that they can go leave feedback. And the important thing is just to ask, and to ask right away after the visit as soon as you can. And so what we find is that the businesses that automate that as part of their workflow. So either the email goes out the same day, or they hand them a postcard, or it's integrated with their point of sale system, then that's the very best way for the feedback response rates to go a lot higher. We aren't doing SMS yet, but we're experimenting with it right now, and we're going to add it because we've had a few offices say, I have a smaller group of customers that they will really respond well to SMS, so that's definitely something that we're adding real soon. But I think the important thing here is just asking as soon as possible, and then following up with customers. And you have to ask more than once in a lot of cases. That's the other thing we found, is that it's important to ask over a period of time, to ask 2 or 3 times for the people who haven't responded. And what we found is, well, I can't say, this is more anecdotal, I can't say this is based on stats, but we get really high response rates on the second and the third email. And so what we think is happening is people will see the request and they'll go, oh yeah, I've got to do that, I want to do that, and but they're buried, right? Maybe they just got up in the morning, they're checking their email early, they're off to their day, and then they get the second one a few days later, and they say, oh yeah, that's right, I should do that, and maybe they do it, and then if they still haven't responded in that third email, they go, oh, I've got to just do this. They start to feel guilty, like I just got to get it done. And then you don't want to go past that. You don't want to push it. But I think the multiple follow-ups also helps a lot too.
Do you threaten people in that third email?
No, definitely not. We need to make them nicer and nicer.
You make the last one red, like your final notice, final warning. You must leave your review. Aaron. Incentivizing customers to leave a review. Is that a good idea, Aaron?
Don't do it. Yeah,
what?
You got me? I said don't do it for any reason in any way. I mean, you really have to look at it that the incentive should be great service every time out.
How about, like I say, sorry, Phil, go.
Oh, sorry, Miles. I just want to sort of piggyback really quickly on what Aaron said, and I agree. And I would also add that even if you incentivize reviews, if you incentivize customers to leave reviews, and they actually leave the reviews are probably going to suck because you offer them a $30 Starbucks gift card, and they write sort of a perfunctory 1 or 2 sentences, and if you have if all the reviews on your, say, Google Plus page are 1 or 2 sentences, then it looks to any intelligent observer that they were all just sort of going through the motions, and they didn't really want to write the reviews, and their hearts weren't in it, and it looks totally staged if you incentivize them.
I was going to say, if you're buying reviews, you're probably going to start buying reviews from somebody who's normally not going to review at all. And if you start to consider that reviewer's profile and the only review they left is the one you bought off them, that's going to get filtered out of Yelp if that's where they left it. Google's going to start paying more attention to what those profiles are, to who's leaving those reviews as well. So, I mean, you're going more to the gimmick route, the same way that everybody tries to get their shot in the arm with SEO and whatever, and eventually there ends up being a filter, an algorithm, an update, something that ends up kind of weeding out what the crap is. And if you're buying a review or buying their time with it, that's crap, and eventually it's probably going to backfire or fall off the map for you.
I think on a customer relations side, it's dangerous because it cheapens the relationship. So if you're looking for long-term customers that want to keep coming back to you and keep buying from you, and that want to trust you, you don't cheapen the relationship by throwing money at them. I mean, nobody wants to be a whore, right?
Yeah, there have been some studies actually that show that there's like this reciprocity. I mean, your good customers want to help, right? They want to help you, and they don't want to feel like you had to buy that from them. They want to just genuinely feel. It's kind of like, I feel like sometimes it can cross the line if you're trying to incentivize too much.
It actually strengthens the relationship you have with the customer if you're contributing to their emotional bank account, if you want to refer to 7 Habits, you're contributing to their emotional bank account by providing excellent service. When they give back to you, they actually like you more. It's a weird psychology that happens, but it increases their willingness to refer customers. As I said earlier, referral rates went up. Different things like that. It's a good relationship to have, to simply ask a favor from your customers, and if they're willing to do it, that makes them a better customer.
I was just gonna jump in once again and say, kind of build off Thomas's point. The nice thing about he brought up a really important point earlier there. He mentioned that when you have a location or a business that's is really dialed in on its review strategy, it also tends to get a lot of referrals. And I think one nice upshot of being really dialed in on your review strategy is that when a customer does business with you specifically because you have good reviews, and if you didn't have good reviews, they probably wouldn't have picked up the phone, that person is more likely to just automatically review you because they're sort of paying it forward, kind of passing on a good experience. I mean, if they came to you for your good reviews, they're a little more likely to leave one sort of at the end of the transaction. They're kind of conditioned from the get-go to write you a good review if that was sort of the deciding factor for them to hire you to begin with.
That's great, guys. All really good points, and I like the kind of recency and the repetition, because I know from my own personal experience, I often walk out of having had a service or a kind of local experience, want to leave a review, get back to my desk, and just forget all about it because there's an email in there that's kind of distracted me. So I think it's great to kind of persist and not be kind of too kind of hold back, not be too kind of concerned about that. So that's really good. Okay, second poll, everyone. This one is, do you have a tried and tested review strategy that you use? So just going to launch that poll. If everyone could answer it, please, that would be great. Okay, great. Just going to close that down now. Share the results. As you can see, 24%, so a quarter say that, yeah, they do have a strategy that works well. Another quarter say it works okay, so that's about half. But nearly 50% say that they don't have a strategy, but they are working on one. So a real mix there.
From last time, right? That's an improvement from last time we took that poll.
Yeah, it is. So, but interesting that half the listeners don't have one, but are working on one. So hopefully we can help you, really kind of hone down on your strategy today. So, right, let's go on to the next part. So this is about sort of suppressing reviews. Don, what tactics have worked best, in your regard to kind of managing out the negative effects of bad reviews, or even suppressing bad reviews?
Yeah, well, I think this is one of those answers that like the business owner doesn't want to hear, but the best strategy here is just to be proactive, right? We talked earlier, I have a little story of a customer that I worked with years ago that was an optometrist, and she was just getting started, didn't have very much of an online presence, and we were doing an assessment. We found the only footprint for her online didn't even have a website. The only thing was one review on Yelp that was a 1-star review. That was, if somebody searched for this person online, that's all they found. And when we brought that to her and she looked at it, she said, "Oh, I know who that customer is. I remember we gave him a new prescription in his existing frames. He wanted us to put it in there, and they broke. And he was really upset about it. And we took care of him, and everything's fine." And I said, "Well, you better go talk to him, right? Because this has been out there for 8 months, this review, and this has been the entirety of your online footprint is this bad review." So she went and talked to him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm happy you guys took care of me." And he edited the review and made it into a positive one. So first of all, is they just didn't know, she didn't know about it, right? So you have to know about the review, like that it's out there. But the other thing is, don't be in a position where there's no reviews out there for you. You have to be proactive. If you've got 10 really nice, good reviews, 4 and 5 stars or whatever, and then a bad one comes out, that bad review just gives credibility to the other reviews. It doesn't hurt you. But if you have no reviews, then it's damaging. It's very damaging. So the advice I have, or how do you deal with bad reviews? You have to get in front of the situation, right? You've got to ask for feedback, just as we've been talking about, and make sure you understand if a customer has a problem, hopefully before they leave that bad review.
We reach out to anybody that complains about our service, and we can identify who they are as a customer. We reach out to them and call them up and say, "I'm sorry, it seems like we messed up. How can we fix this?" And even people that aren't customers, I've had some Yelpers, right? These famous Yelpers that guy calls us, he wants us to do a commercial property for him, and we don't do commercial properties. And he goes on Yelp and gives us a 1-star review. We wouldn't service his property. And so, and I listened to the phone call. I actually pulled the call and everything else myself. Reached back out to the individual and said, "I apologize for a couple things that I could say. You know what? The guy that handled this wasn't very good at explaining why we don't do this. I'm sorry that for this, that, whatever I could apologize for, I did." And then I said, "Please said, we don't do commercial properties. We saw that you gave us a bad review on Yelp, and I'm sorry that we weren't able to service you, but that's something we can't do. Is there anything I can do to make this right to you?" And he's like, "Oh, no." But he went back to Yelp and he changed his 1-star to a 3-star and said, "They called me back and said they don't do commercial properties." Following up with people is fantastic. Anybody you can follow up with and contact them, you can get your reviews taken from 1-star to a 3-star. I had another lady, same thing, was upset about something, not a customer of ours. We followed up 3 or 4 times with her. She never even talked to us. She just went back and changed it from 1-star to a 2-star, probably because we were annoying her. Said, "You guys are really good at following up. They actually do care about their customers. I had whatever experience. Because of their follow-up, I would trust these guys." So we follow up. We hunt them down.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward stuff. Look after your customers, listen to them, and that's the best way to kind of resolve a bad situation into a good situation. Guys, anything else? Aaron, Phil, anything you want to comment on that? Any pitfalls with suppressing bad reviews, or any tactics that people really shouldn't follow?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, and this may just be a pet peeve of mine, I try to get my clients not to use the term reputation management, because I think it's totally misleading, and it sounds so passive, as if their reputation is something that just happens to them and they have no agency over it, no control over it. And I think, as Don and Thomas have alluded to, you have to be very proactive. You have to sort of stick your neck out from time to time and get the the unhappy customers to maybe change their mind and eventually change their reviews, and you have to get the happy customers to speak up. And I think one important point in doing that is not to ram a specific review site down their throat. Don't try to get all your happy customers, for instance, to write you a review on Yelp, because chances are they will just get filtered if those customers are not already sort of habitual Yelp reviewers, actively writing reviews on there all the time. So give them choices. Tell them the sites that, for one thing, don't filter reviews, don't require a full name. So in other words, they could leave an anonymous review if they'd like to, and tell them also sites that let you use a Facebook username, where you can just log in using your Facebook account and not have to create a new account on whatever review site just to leave that review. So you really want to grease the skids with the happy customers, and above all, give them choices.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing not touched upon here, Thomas touched on it a little bit where, he talks about privately one-on-one, they'll go out and contact the customer, but any of the review sites that allow you to comment or give feedback to what the reviewer left, just be very smart about that, right? You see it on TripAdvisor and things like that. Understand that you can do a lot as far as earning back some credibility against a bad review to how you respond to it in that public profile, and how you, show empathy for the customer, how you say you're going to make it right, all those other pieces. So just be smart about that. We've all probably have read the horror stories or seen posts where the business owner responds with more anger or telling the customer they're stupid or they don't want them anyway and everything else, and that can quickly backfire on you. So kind of don't let your emotions get the best of you when responding on a review site where your response is public.
Okay, great. Talking about review sites, next bit is talking about, I guess, consolidation. Really, is what it's about. Will the big behemoths of Google, Yelp, and TripAdvisor, there are others, but I use those as examples. Are they going to kill other sites? And I guess I'm thinking about the Yahoo as one company that went after reviews of its own for years, and then really just kind of gave up the ghost and now gets its reviews from Yelp. So Phil, what's happened on Yahoo to all those old Yahoo reviews? Are they still hanging around? And is that a lot of wasted effort on behalf of some business people to go and build up reviews on Yahoo?
Oh, yeah. I mean, about a year ago, Yahoo totally backstabbed business owners who for years have been trying to rack up Yahoo reviews because, well, Yahoo is also, a major search engine, and we want reviews there. And what happened was about a year ago, as you alluded to, Yahoo started sourcing reviews from Yelp. And so what happened was that if you had in March 2014 20 reviews on Yahoo, and you had one review on Yelp, the next month, I think it was like April of last year, all of a sudden if you went to your Yahoo listing, you would only see the one Yelp review, and there would be no mention of the 20 Yahoo reviews. Now, really, and there's nothing you can do about it. As far as I know, the reviews aren't like filtered and sort of in this kind of this purgatory state the way they are in Yelp and Google+. I think they're just gone. Now, the only caveat is that if you have like duplicate Yahoo listings, with like maybe slightly different names, sometimes it's possible to have one Yahoo listing feature your Yelp reviews and the other feature your old Yahoo reviews. But I think now there's not even a way to write a Yahoo review. So the book is pretty much closed, and the question is, did Yahoo remove all the reviews that you racked up in previous years? And in a lot of cases, again, the answer is yes, unless, again, you have duplicate listings floating around and Yahoo just happens to be showing one listing with your Yelp reviews and the other with Yahoo reviews.
I was going to say, when you look at the question, Miles, these sites, when a customer or consumer can go to a site and read 10, 20, 50, 100 opinions on something, they're going to seek that out. It's less work for them. So to a certain sense, yeah, Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor, those who are sourcing the most amount of information and customer opinions and making it easy to break it down and take a look at it, they are going to win, and they're going to dwarf out the other ones that are late to the game, trying to get into the game, don't make the process as smooth no matter how you look at it. But to me, it really brings up the point too, and I'm working on a blog post around this right now, is like, do you own any of that content as well, right? Watch someone freak out when some type of glitch caused their Google reviews to disappear for a day, right? They completely lose their mind because of the work it takes to get reviews, and then all of a sudden they're algorithmically gone, or a system glitch, or whatever else. But it's like, do you have any of that information back on your site at all? Are you sharing customer testimonials on your own website? Do you have some ownership of that in case the terms of service change, or how they allow someone to leave a review, or they just pivot with what they're going to offer, and something you are now consumed with is now completely wiped off the face of the earth, and you don't hold any of that data or information or valuable selling content that you have there. So that's one area where I really try to tell people to focus is, it's great to think about these widespread areas and these, these gateway sites and pages that bring customers in, like Google and Yelp and TripAdvisor. But if you're not sharing that same type of content and how your customers feel on your own properties and your own site, you're really missing out, and you're not addressing it holistically.
So do you, Aaron, do you advise people to kind of republish reviews from Yelp on their own site?
Not as much as republish, kind of go the other route of like what Get 5 Stars offers in its tool, where it's asking for internal feedback to start with. So first off, tell us how you feel about it so we can capture that information and be able to utilize it in a testimonial format or putting it out there. And then the review being the end result. You definitely can reverse engineer to the ones that you go out there and find, it's not against terms of services to repurpose Google reviews and bring those, back onto your site in different formats. But when I really look at, if you look at the numbers, if you're asking 100 of your customers for feedback, let's say 20 of them end up giving you feedback, you might only get one of those that actually will leave you an online review. So would you rather implement something up front where they will give you one-to-one feedback yourself that you can do something with and you get 20 out of 100, or you're just waiting for that one review to happen out of every 100 or 200 or 500 customers that you work with? So I try to go the opposite before I much, there's a lot of other things we can do to get a lot of feedback right to us instead of waiting for a review to pop somewhere and then copying and pasting or bringing that review back into the site.
Don, in your product, Get 5 Stars, how do you determine which sites you push people to? How does it work when you're kind of channeling positive reviews into, the various sites where someone can leave a review?
Yeah, it's really up to the business owner, so we give them a lot of options. We try to find the URLs for them on the major sites, but if it's a lawyer, they might want to add AVO in there, sort of industry-specific sites. But we usually give guidance to have more than one, as was pointed out earlier. Don't try to force them into one. Usually like 2 or 3 at any given time, and we make it easy for them to be able to switch them out and move them around. So you can move the order that they show up on the thank you page. And the thank you page has direct links to those review profiles. So it depends on the business owner. I mean, one thing we're finding, we track the clicks, like when someone goes to the thank you page, which review button do they click on? And we're seeing a lot of people going to Facebook to leave reviews right now. And we think it's because of the fact that it's so easy to, I already have a Facebook account, I'm already logged in, I go to the business owner's page, leave a review, I'm done in 10 seconds or 30 seconds, whereas I might not have a Yelp account or I might not have a Google Plus account, and so we're trying to give those options. We recommend that they give you several options, and then we just make it easy for them to reorder those and turn them on and off as they change as things go on.
So do you see the question is, do you see Facebook as becoming a real contender in the review game?
I think so. I mean, I'm seeing, we did a survey. I'd be curious to see what Thomas and Phil and Aaron think about this. We did a survey. Mike Blumenthal did a survey actually on this and found that of the people that responded, they ranked Facebook as the second most likely site after Google and before Yelp that they would go to leave a review. And we also had a survey where people said they're actually looking at those reviews on Facebook too. So I think Facebook is secretly turning this on, and they're building up a corpus of review content for local businesses, and I'm curious, watching to see what they're going to do with that.
I definitely agree with Don on that. They've got the audience, and as you're asking about these sites as they're growing and they're dwarfing these other small sites, I mean, there's going to be winners because they have more people in general that are giving the reviews. You go to Amazon because Amazon has verified customers that have reviewed these products. And that's why Amazon's going to win. They're going to beat Target, they're going to beat Walmart, they're going to beat anybody else that's not implementing the strategy. And with the sheer volume of reviews they're going to get. And once you're there and you're reading the reviews, you're going to buy it from Amazon. I mean, Amazon owns IMDb. Most reviews ever for any movie out there in the world. That's good for Amazon. It's good for that website because they've got the audience to provide those reviews. Facebook's going to be the same way. They've got such a vast audience right now. So easy for everybody to access it and use it that they're going to dominate.
Question for you, Aaron. What do you think if these sites have massive audiences and also very engaged audiences are going to succeed? Is there much point in businesses spending time getting reviews on, say, sites like Superpages or Yellow Pages or even niche industry sites?
So never look a gift horse in the mouth, right? If the user is willing to leave a review somewhere, that's great. You can't control where they're going to put it or where it's going to end up. A lot of times, especially with niche sites, don't ignore those because that's a very focused customer that's coming into that too in what they're looking for. So I wouldn't try to finesse it as much as I would, just as was alluded to earlier by Phil and by Don, give them lots of options. Whatever makes it easiest for them, wherever they have an account, wherever they understand how the leaving a review process works, let the user do that, right? I think that's another reason why Facebook is winning so big with it is because it's a super simple process and the user's already logged in every time you use something within Facebook as well. So they've cut out a lot of the hurdles that it takes to leave a review and from what type of device and your location and all those other types of things. So I would say if you're getting into your strategy and your review strategy, you're really worried about where they're ending up, you have solved so many other things already. If that's the hair you're splitting, good for you. So you're much further down the pipeline for most people than I'd say, don't worry about where they're ending up. Just worry about having a process in place that reviews are actually happening for you.
To your question about Superpages, I do get reviews on Superpages. I've got so many reviews on Google and these other locations. I'd rather go put reviews on any website out there that has any type of audience. You know what I mean? Because there are people that are going to see it. So if I'm starting off early, I would focus on Google first, and I would trickle down from there to Yelp and to Facebook at this point and on down. But I still get tons of sales from insider pages because people still use it.
I would also add that niche review sites are huge. And you sort of wouldn't think that because they're not as popular as, the giants like Google+, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Facebook. But I think the niche review sites like, Health Grades if you're a doctor, Avo if you're a lawyer, House.com if you're sort of a contractor, those are probably the only sites that are not going to get gobbled up over time by the big boys. They have it because they have a very narrow focus. And the nice thing about having reviews on niche sites is that the quality of the traffic and even kind of the readership is very good because somebody who's looking, if you're a doctor, let's say, or a dentist, whatever, somebody who's looking at your reviews on Health Grades is probably pretty far down the kind of the sales funnel. They're probably searching for you by name, and they're thinking very hard about whether to pick up the phone and call you, and they're doing their due diligence and seeing all the places you have reviews. And so for that reason alone, you better have reviews on kind of niche sites in your industry.
I'd even take that a step further. What I really want to get into right now, Neighborhood's probably one that's coming up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Neighborhood. That's got a niche audience. They develop communities around Neighborhood. If it works and succeeds, that's a website I would be concerned about having reviews on or having reputation on. But there's all kinds of neighborhood blogs and Facebook groups and everything else that type of small community where they trust each other. You get advocates in there that are promoting your business. Those are good places to get referrals from.
Yeah.
I guess sort of a follow-up point, actually, is going into the next part of the agenda we'll cover off now, about review syndication. Now, not people really do this these days, but you do kind of get questions about it, where you take one review and you kind of broadcast it and you republish it onto other sites. What are the benefits, if any, and the downsides of doing that? And Don, you've created a review product. Is that something that you looked at doing, and why did you not add that in as an option within Get 5 Stars?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think back in the day that probably this whole review syndication was something that was valuable. Today I don't feel like it's the right way to go, and so the approach we took was, hey, if you're capturing this data from your customer, you should own that, right? And let's make it easy to put it on your website and mark it up in the right formats, like the schema.org formats that Google understands, and put it out there. Because this solves a problem that small business owners have, and that is just updating their website. And if you allow these testimonials to come be put on your website, that's unique, original content for your website that you own that gets published out there. And I'd rather have that on my website and have a really nice testimonials and reviews page that starts showing up in the search results, maybe with rich snippets next to it, than try syndicating reviews around the web. And I just feel like that's a more solid long-term approach for the business owner, and it solves that problem of, updating their website with content, with unique content. It maybe doesn't totally solve it. I think you still blog and do other articles, but it helps these business owners, kind of own their own content. To the point Aaron made earlier, no one can turn that off, right? That's stuff that you own and put out there as part of your side of the conversation.
Okay, that's great. We've got one final poll to do. Just going to run it on screen now. This one is about the ROI from investing in kind of reputation management. Not that Phil likes to use that term; it's a little bit too passive for him. But this is the final poll, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, great. Just going to close the poll now. And share the results. So we can see that 83%, a massive 83% yes, absolutely. Reviews and reputation delivers really good ROI, while no one says that it doesn't. But 11% are a little unsure about it. Maybe they're still kind of dipping their toe in the water and getting involved in it. So that's great, guys. We've touched on review syndication, so that kind of covers off all the points. Before we kind of sort of wrap things up with a few outgoing messages, anything anyone else wants to share that haven't got off their chest during the debate so far, now is your chance to say it. So Phil, you're the only one on that webcam. Why don't you go first?
Oh, well, thank you. I'm honored. I mean, we've touched on so much today. I mean, I guess all I would add is that you need to think of it not in terms of reputation management, but reputation development. As the guys have said, you have to be proactive, not only with the unhappy customers, but with the happy ones, get them to speak up. I think more and more we'll find that not having an online reputation is really not an option, because more people will start writing reviews for a variety of reasons. The review sites want to kind of gamify the process and get all that data and get people writing reviews. It's going to become easier over time. So, the question is, you are going to have an online reputation no matter what, and you make customers happy and get good reviews while it's easy, or after they write a scathing review of you online. So, as Don said earlier, really get out ahead of any problems. Ask everybody, and one way or another, you're gonna if you just do those things and focus on doing right by your customers, you're gonna win.
That's great, Phil. Guys, I won't kind of call out your names, but does anyone else sort of have any final things they want to share?
I had one thing I wanted to mention is that there's a book I think would be really good for people to read if they're interested. It's by John Jantz. It's called The Referral Engine. And what I like about this book is he really walks you through. The premise is like, what if your business was so successful based on word of mouth that you didn't even have to advertise, right? What if you could build a business that people would just naturally refer to their friends? And I think online reviews are a form of public referral. And we know based on surveys that people are very influenced by online reviews. They, something like 78% of people look at online reviews before they make a purchase or visit a shop. And so what I really like about this book is he talks about setting expectations with your customers right at the beginning, saying, look, our goal is to make you so happy that you're going to tell your friends and family about us, right? And if we don't live up to that, I want you to tell me. And setting that expectation, before the sale, during the sale, after the sale, and then following up and asking for that referral That's what this book is about, and I think that relates to what we're talking about with online reviews. It's just having a very proactive approach about this and committing as a company to be doing a great job of delivering an experience for your customers, constantly using that, you know, as a way to improve, like Thomas mentioned, how they use those reviews to drive, you know, their business and to make their business better. And so, anyway, I just think that's a great book to read that's kind of related to what we're talking about, and it sort of helps so you think about this whole process and being proactive around it.
Yeah, and I guess my final thought would be hopefully more and more businesses or consultants in the space really look at it as it's a long-term play. It's not about saying, oh, I want to get 10 reviews so I get, you know, a rankings bump in with Google in the next 30 days or 90 days. It's just really being committed to, I want to listen to my customers. I want to provide them easy routes to give me feedback. And the ones that have a great experience, I hope they shout it from the mountaintop. So those that build that in organically and understand how that works, it's like a flower, right? You can go buy flowers, you can get fake flowers. These are all the types of reviews. You'll see people buy them or have fake reviews. But people who have a strategy and it's a planted seed, they can grow it. It's healthier. It's the real thing. It's authentic. And you take care of it, and it can do great things for you.
Okay, great.
I like the suggestion that Don had about the book. You know, our review strategy and customer service strategy really began with J.D. Powers, Customer Satisfaction. Fantastic book. If you want the condensed version and learn about sneezers, as Phil was talking about earlier, knowing what makes a customer actually want to give you a review. Sneezers, who's that? Purple Cow. It's a great small
Seth
book.
Godin. Yeah.
But in general, you know, yeah, you should be aware of your reviews, but customer satisfaction is what you're really going for. And reviews are just an arm of customer satisfaction. You should be paying attention to what people are saying about you online, noticing what makes them happy, and also noticing what doesn't make them happy and fix it.
Okay, that's great. Don, a quick request from Linda. If you could type in the chat just the name of their books, and Thomas as well, if you could just type the names of those two books in the chat module, that would be really great. Okay, so guys, we're done. Huge thank you to the four of you for some wonderful insights, letting us benefit from your experiences. Great debate. I thought I knew a lot about kind of reviews and review strategy, but I certainly learned a lot today. Certainly answered some questions that I wasn't entirely sure about, and opened my eyes to some other experiences or issues that particularly kind of the SMBs face when kind of adopting and implementing. I now intend to hire and fire my staff based on their online reviews. So, a great tip there. Also, a big thanks to Linda and Cola, and also to Ross, who is our marketing manager, for helping out today. Another great sterling effort. And obviously a big thank you to everyone who listened in. So thank you guys for giving us some time. We hope to have you back. We've got some upcoming webinars over May and June. The next one is Understanding Mobile Search and User Behavior, which is the 20th of May. We've got Max Minzer, Bill Hartzer, and we've got Aaron back. Great. So we've got about 3 weeks until that one. Please join us for that. 3 awesome panelists again. 20th of May, 2 p.m. again. We'll see you here. Thanks again for being a part of it and for listening in, and have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye guys. Take care.